Welcome to the official how to play video for Blaseball the card game, designed by Rain Watts and Michael Fox, and published by Wayfinder Games in partnership with the Gamefound. We're going to run you through the basics of the game, giving you enough to get you started, but if you'd like a more in-depth explanation, as well as rules for deck building and drafting, please check out the rulebook. The base game comes with 2 team decks, with each one containing 14 players and 10 special cards. Give each coach a deck, as well as dice in their colour, then decide which team will bat first. Rotate the playmat so the coaches are sat at the correct sides, put all the tokens in a pile off to the side, and put the scoring tokens next to the score track. Both players put their team cards into the marked slots on the playmat. Anytime you see a number next to this symbol, add the amount of vibe tokens shown. You'll be using these to activate abilities, reroll dice, and generally bend or break the rules in your favour. In order to actually win the game, you need to score more runs than your opponent over the course of one single inning of Blaseball. Both coaches will get a chance to pitch and bat, and whoever achieves the most runs will receive the glory of victory. Both coaches shuffle their team decks and draw 5 cards to make their starting hand. If you don't like what you see, you can shuffle your cards back in and draw a new hand of 5, but you will have to stick with that new selection of cards. What you're hoping to see is at least a couple of player cards, so let's have a look at one of those right now. The most important information is the 3 numbers that you see on the left side of the card. These show how good your chosen player is at pitching, batting, and catching, and we call them stats. You'll also see that each player has 1 or more abilities written in a box at the bottom of the card. Some are triggered, some are constant, but they are always going to be useful to use somehow. Follow the instructions on the card in order to use these special abilities. Now, let's get some players on the field. If you're the batting coach, choose 1 player card and put it face down in the at-bat zone. The pitching coach will need to choose 2 players, 1 to pitch and 1 to catch, and these cards will go face down in their own respective zones. If you don't have a player in your hand to fill a zone, don't worry, you will get one shortly. Also at this point, both coaches can also choose a special card to potentially play this turn. If you do choose one, this again goes face down in your own marked zone. Special cards can be revealed during any phase of the game when you're in control of the action. Some can be played directly from your hand, but most will be flipped to reveal their ability. If you want to play your special, just flip it face up and follow the instructions written on the card. Also, remember that some cards refer to weather, and these will get moved to their own special zone and affect the game in unique ways. Next, it's time to see who's actually playing. The pitcher is revealed first, followed by the batter, and then the outfielder. Don't forget to add any vibe tokens if the card tells you to, and it's always a good idea to tell your opponent who you've played and what they're capable of. If you reach this point and there isn't a player in one of these positions, the coach will have to do an emergency draw. This just means taking cards from the top of your deck one by one until you get a player, who immediately slots into the empty zone. Any special cards revealed this way go into your discard pile and can't be used. Time to get into the action, which begins with the pitcher. The pitching coach rolls 2 6-sided dice, then adds the pitch value as shown on their pitcher's card, as well as any other modifiers. When the total's been worked out, set the 20-sided tracking dice to that number. Now the batter will attempt to hit. The batting coach rolls 2 6-sided dice and adds their bat value shown on the batting card, as well, again, as any other modifiers. Depending on the final result, one of the following events will happen. If the pitch total is higher than the batting total, this is a strike. Take 1 of the strike tokens and add it to the marked area on the scoreboard, then just get ready for another pitch. If this is their 3rd strike, the batting player is out, and a token is added to the board, then the player is discarded. 3 outs and the coaches swap roles, with the batting coach becoming the pitching coach, and vice versa. If the pitch and batting totals are equal, this is a ball. Take 1 of the ball tokens and add it to the scoreboard, then prepare for another pitch. However, if this is the 4th ball, the batter gets to run to first base automatically, so move them into their new position and get ready for a brand new turn. If the batting total is higher than the pitch total, the batting coach has to make a choice to either stay or run. If they stay, they take a ball token and we continue as normal. However, if they decide to run, work out the difference between the two totals and tilt the batter's card to show this. For example, if the difference is 2, tilt the card to show the second base icon. This difference is called run potential and is the maximum amount of bases that player can run. Now the decision making goes back to the pitching coach. Do they want to try and catch the ball, or do they want to let the batter run to the base without stopping them? If the pitching coach decides to let the batter run, all players on bases also get to run up to the same amount. Anyone who gets to fourth base, also known as home, adds 1 run to the score tracker. If the pitching coach instead decided to try and catch, they roll their 2 six-sided dice and add the catch value shown on the player card in the outfield, as well as any other modifiers. If this roll is equal to or higher than the batting total, the batter is immediately out, a token is added to the board, and the player is discarded. However, if the catch fails, the batter gets their run potential +1, meaning that they, as well as any other players on bases, get to run 1 extra base. A turn continues like this until the batting player either manages to reach a base or they gain 3 strikes. At this point, coaches move on to the end turn step where cards in play are either paid for, using vibe tokens to be kept in position, or are just discarded. If a discarded card happens to be holding any vibe tokens, you can always shift one of these over to your team card. By the way, any players that are on bases do not have to be paid for to be kept in play. They've earned their position to stay on the field. Also, remember strike and ball tokens remain in play between turns. If a coach decides to get rid of cards from their hand, they get to add 1 vibe token to their team card, and then it's time to draw back up to your hand of 5 cards. If the pitching coach runs out of cards, they get to shuffle their discard pile and continue drawing as normal. At this point, if the batting coach has no cards left in their deck, they just skip drawing. However, if the batting coach has no more players in hand and has no more cards to draw, then there'll be a turnover. Coaches will swap roles, clearing the play amount of all cards and resetting as if they were starting again, this time on opposite sides of the playmat. If there's already been a turnover this game, it's instead going to finish, and the coach with the most runs is the winner. Alternatively, if the second team ever manages to outscore the first, the game ends immediately with a victory for the second team. And that's about it. This should give you everything you need to get started with Blaseball the card game. If you come across something not covered in this video, please refer to the rulebook or contact us at Wayfinder Games for more information. Now, get out there on the field and play ball!